Welcome back to the Talk Like No One's Listening podcast, episode 30, aka Clubhouse for Introverts. On this episode, I wanted to revisit some of my work history, because I was just thinking about the purpose of this podcast and what is the point of me taking the time to do this every week. And sometimes it's just to talk and get things out of my head, but I also want to make sure there's something of value for anybody listening. And the only possibly valuable experience I think I have to share is my career experience for anybody who might be pursuing the same thing and they might be earlier on their path. I've been on the path for a while and it hasn't stopped, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. And from my perspective, I can look back to where I started and see it as a place that's very far away. But I look forward and I don't see a finish line anywhere in sight. So I'm somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the big middle. But I'm high enough up the mountain to look down and see where I started and tell that there's been tremendous progress. And how did I get to this point? I don't really know. I just didn't quit, basically. So when you work at a studio, a recording studio, you find yourself crossing paths with many people, different types of people, many different backgrounds, personalities, big and small. And you get to have a sample of many, many different types of people, and you get to see different people's attitude, their work process, their level of proficiency, talent, whatnot. And they're all things that you can learn from, even the people that aren't great. Because there's going to be more people that are not great than are great. That's just life. But what I always would try to do is look back on all the people I had experiences with, good and bad, and just try to look at all of them as good, because almost everything there was something to learn, either about myself on the inside or on the outside, something to learn about the actual job and skills and techniques and methods and all that good stuff. Now, when I was new, when I was fresh, green, to working at a studio, and I was an intern and a runner, I, along with other people that I was there working with, anytime any kind of client would come in, it was some type of automatic treatment that we would have to see them as people that are up on this pedestal, because they're the client. They're the ones that are doing something and they made it.
whether they had a big name or not. That was something that was impressed upon me from the other people that I was working with. So I just went along with it because I didn't know any better. And occasionally when somebody would come in that did have a big name, somebody I might even have been a fan of, and they came in to my surprise, and I might have been able to work in the same room as them or just be around and say hello, introduce myself, or I was just a runner and I'm gonna go pick up their food. Either way, each experience taught me something different. The main thing that it did teach me, in hindsight, of course, it's hard to learn lessons as they're happening to you, but in hindsight, the biggest lesson was that all these people are just people, just like me. They're not superhumans. They're not born blessed with amazing talents. If they have any talents, it's because they developed them. They worked hard to be able to do whatever it is that they do. Whether they learn to play an instrument, learn how to sing, write a song, learn how to engineer, or their family's just super rich and they can pay other people to do all those hard things. Whatever the case may be, they're all just people. And after I had a few experiences close up and personal with some of these people, that was the biggest surprise to me, was to see the humanity in them. Sometimes the good humanity, like people that are way, way nicer and more polite than you would expect when they don't really have to be. Or you see the people that you might think are something special, but they show their humanity in that they're really immature. They're really not that intelligent. They're not that hardworking. They kind of cheat their way through the system. And as I progressed on throughout the years, I could look back and see that each year was a consistent and progressive movement forward. And that's good. Because every time as each year goes by, and I look back on the previous year, and I could say, hey, I got a little bit further than the last year. Might not be a lot, but I didn't stay in the same place, and I didn't go backwards. And what I attribute that to is mind state, and something that I've really been interested in recently. I've always been into it, but I didn't have a specific focus on it. But lately I've been reading books and listening to audiobooks and focusing on it and just reflecting on things that have happened to me. And I realize a big part of all of it, to keep myself going and not giving up and keep myself progressing, was just mind state, to know that I can go as far as I want to go. It all just takes time and effort, and dedication, hard work, all that good stuff. But if you think you're only so much, like,
if you think yourself with limits, with levels, and you think you're on a certain level and you see other people on a different level, either higher or above you, it's easy to get stuck. It's easy to get stuck on the level you're on, or to just see other people's levels as unattainable.
Sometimes the good. And in certain specific cases, yeah, you can't expect to duplicate other people's success, but success in general is open to all. And when I can think back to the many, many people I'd seen over the years come and go that weren't able to maintain, that weren't able to stay in the game for many different reasons, the common thing that I noticed was the mind state, the mindset, the mental level. Either they thought they were on top, so they didn't continue to grow and expand to the next level. People might find success, and it might seem like the party's never going to end. But nothing lasts forever. One big hit song feels pretty good when you have it, but as time goes on, it gets diminished. And it's time to start figuring out what's the next hit. Sometimes there is no next hit. Many times there is no next hit. And then what happens? If someone were to just try to recreate that hit, just try to do what worked in the past, thinking it'll work again. If you strike quick, sometimes that can work, but the way things move in music, in culture, and society, especially in the last 10 years, things move so fast. If you can make it to 2 years in a row of being relevant as an artist or producer or songwriter, that's saying a lot.
Because taste changes. The methods that people go to make music changes. Technology is changing it. So many people that were successful in one paradigm of this music business I saw. When I first started, it was 2008. So things were still tiny bit in the old traditional way, in the analog way of thinking. People were still making music in the studio using drum machines and MPCs and Roland keyboards, Yamaha keyboards, stuff like that. Bringing in guitars, bringing in drum sets, bringing in everything that they would want to use to play. It was around 2009 when I started seeing people bring just a laptop with Logic Pro, and they would make the whole song that they were going to make, compose it in Logic, and then just give the audio stems over to the engineer to put into Pro Tools. And that was new, 2009. And by 2010, that's what everybody was doing. Nobody brought in anything anymore. Everybody just had a laptop. So for people that didn't make that transition, I didn't see them again, basically. They
didn't have their eyes open enough to see what was coming and adapt along with it. For one thing, the technology allows people to work much faster. So sometimes it is a race. So if you work faster, you're winning. Not only that, sonically, the sound of what people are getting used to hearing is became more and more of a digital sound. So the sound of the day quickly moved on. So for people that were using older equipment and older sounds, they quickly sounded dated. Once you sound old in music and you sound dated, that's no good. It's time to go back to the drawing board. If you're trying to make music for young people, that is. If you don't care about young people, do whatever you want. But also, everything is driven by the youth in music. So if you're trying to maintain success long term, you always have to know what's going on with young people, whether you like it or not, whether you like what they're listening to and making or not. They're in control. Adults don't dictate to the world what music is going to sound like. Young people do. So, some people made the transition. Some people kept moving forward. Some people were trying to innovate. I myself kept moving. I wasn't a producer in the beginning. I was just an engineer, so it was a bit easier for me to move forward because I came in young thinking that Pro Tools and using a computer to make music, that was normal to me anyways. So I didn't have old traditional ways of thinking to make music from an engineer standpoint based on using tape and analog gear and consoles and all that. Even though I did use it, I knew how to use it, and I would like to use it in the studio, but that was not the foundation of how I learned how to do music. So for me, I would just automatically look at what's the fastest, easiest, most efficient way to do this job. Well, it's by using a computer and doing everything in the computer and using every bit of progress the technology has to constantly refresh and update how I would work. And I always was aware that I needed to always pay attention to what's coming next. I don't have to be first, but I don't want to be last. Right? So, I would pay attention. I would pay attention to what's coming new, what's coming next. Is there new plugins coming out? Is there new software instruments coming out that people are into? New types of sounds. I remember there was that 6-month period where dubstep was a thing in the mainstream pop world, that is, and all these producers that were making R&B and pop all of a sudden started asking me, do I have dubstep sounds? And I just thought it was the silliest thing, because they just thought if you have some dubstep patches for Massive, that's all it takes, and then you're relevant and you're keeping up with what sounds cool right now. And it never worked out. You can't just take a dubstep wobble bass synth but still make a song how you would normally make a song, which is not dubstep. And pretty much everybody that asked around that I heard asking for dubstep sounds, none of them actually made dubstep or ever made dubstep, or probably never even listened to it, really. They just knew that was a popular thing, so we need to incorporate that. But it just didn't fit. So they were trying to keep up, but they were too late. If you're trying to hop on the train of what's popular, after it gets popular, and you don't even know exactly what it is or why it's popular or what the culture is behind it, you'll never be successful with that. If there wasn't one producer that I met that actually listened to any dubstep, that knew any of these producers, that knew the actual production techniques of how people were making dubstep. It was just completely foreign to them. But anyways, that was a blast from the past. Dubstep. But that was a thing that I would see over the years while I did work at the studio. I became a guy that had a lot of sounds. Where did I get those sounds? I got them from other people, but I just kind of like collected and hoarded. And after a while, people just came to me or looked to me as a guy that can hook you up. And it would be the same thing. People would just want, hey, do you have whatever the new popular thing is? Do you have that? But they never bothered to think why is the new thing the new thing? Where did it come from? What's it all about? What's the root of it? Where is it going? How did it get popular? Who are all these people consuming this new thing that's getting popular?
Same thing with rap music, trap beats. For all the producers that tried to play catch up with that, also, I saw them
trying to make what they thought was a trap beat, but completely removed from the culture of people that were actually creating that sound. They didn't understand that there were certain DAWs, like Fruity Loops, that were a big part of that sound, and certain drum kits and certain types of synths, soft synths and instruments and loops. Like, I just saw so many people trying to do that from, like I said, they're either a pop producer, an R&B producer, or something that's just totally mainstream, and they're just like, oh, this is popular, so I need to make it sound like this. But their method of going about it was just so foreign. It sounds like a foreign person trying to speak to you in your native language. It's when someone is foreign to you, it's immediately obvious when you hear them talk. The same thing with the language of music. It's so obvious when you hear someone that's foreign try to speak a language that they don't know. That only works if you're making music for other people that don't know. But I myself found myself also falling behind, because I had a period a really tough period when I had to work with a lot of people that were assholes, and they would work late, they'd work until the sun came up, they'd be assholes the entire time, no thanks, like, nothing came out of it, except just getting paid something, but other than that, I hated it the whole time, and when you're working as an engineer, or anything you're doing in music, yeah, you want to get paid money, but also you want the projects and things that you work on to be some type of stepping stone to get to something bigger. At least something that, if a song comes out, if it's an official song that gets released by an artist and it comes out and your name is on the credits, that's one of your stepping stones. But for majority of the time that I was working at the studio, I was working with artists on songs that never came out. So I didn't reap the benefit of having a resume that showed my experience. I just had the little bit of money that it paid me over the years. And so I had one long period of working with people that were just horrible to work with. But I just knew also the music wasn't coming out, so it just felt like a waste of my time and energy, but I didn't have anything else. I had to work and make money, pay the bills and all that stuff. But because I had such a negative experience, it really made me just hate music, especially rap music, which is something I grew up listening to and loving, and that was my entry into music, was through hip-hop and rap. But I got to a point where I just hated it. I didn't want to hear it at all, and I just completely ignored everything that was going on for about 5-6 years, honestly. And then I got to the point where I realized I don't know what rap sounds like right now. But I need to know, because if I'm the person that is sounding foreign, even though I'm just an engineer, but still, if I'm the person that's sounding foreign by not knowing how to make a rap record sound like a rap record, then I'm the one that's about to be out. Because I just took over for another guy who was out of touch. So if I get out of touch, then someone's gonna take my place. So I need to get over myself, basically, get over what happened to me, and just remember that the music is the music. People are assholes, but music can't hurt you. Music is music, and you can enjoy music
while still hating people. I mean, even hating the people that made the music. You could still like the music and hate the person, which is a weird place, but that is a situation I find myself in
many times in my career, because like I said, once you cross paths with people and you see who they are as a person, a lot of times they're not cool people. So it completely changes your perspective on their music. People always say, don't meet your heroes, and I'll tell you, that is so true. Musical heroes, I met so many of them. Majority of the experiences were not great. And I just really, those experiences really revealed to me a bit more of the reality. It just pulled the veil away and showed me that, it gave me confidence by showing me that, like, oh, they're just a person. They just have certain circumstances that allowed them to be a successful music professional. But they're not really a great person. They don't really have it all together. Things just worked out for them. So I thought, well, things could work out for me too. And I think I am a good person. I try to be as much as possible. So I'm not an idiot. I work hard. I can focus and dedicate myself to this craft. I take care of people when I work with them. I'm looking out for them. I'm a team player. So I thought, I can't work this hard and be this good at what I do and not win. If I'm not winning, there's something going on with me. And sometimes those are the hardest things to really address, is the things that are wrong with you. It's very common to instinctually look outside of yourself for the reason why things aren't working out. And then you might get a hint that it's you, and then you're like, well, I don't want to deal with that right now. Chicken out. Chicken out of dealing with your own issues. But like I said, I got over my own issues and I fell back in love with music and rap and hip hop, and I started listening again. And I started really paying attention and absorbing, like, oh, this is what it sounds like today. Love it or hate it, this is what it sounds like today. This is what everyone's listening to. This is what they're loving. So if I want to be successful making this music for the other people, I need to be relevant. I need to be in touch, in tune with it. And once I did that, that helped a lot. Things got a lot better. My work got a lot better. The end result of the work I was doing as an engineer got a lot better. And then as I started to get some producing experience and producing records, the little bit that I did early on, that worked out too, because I produced a song that's 5 years ago that today is doing really well. And I would say if I didn't spend all that time focusing on what sounds cool to young people, I'm 40 years old right now, by the way, but back then, if I didn't pay attention to what was the familiar sound for younger audiences, I don't think I would have been able to produce a song that's a successful song like the one I did. And now that's something that's just a part of me, is that I might be getting older in age, but I'm not gonna get older when it comes to the mind state of working on music. I'll gain wisdom and experience and hopefully grow wiser, but always have to keep the energy young. You have to relate to the youth. For many reasons, beyond just what I'm talking about. I'm a parent also, so that is another reason to relate to the youth and understand the world as they see it. And I can think back to myself when I was young, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, feeling like I didn't have confidence in the adults, that they had the answers, the right answers, that they knew what was going on.
There's a very, oh shit, I said, didn't I? But there was a severe lack of adults
That I considered smart, wise, kind, You know, I just didn't believe any of them. And as I got older and became a parent myself, I realized there are no adults. We're all just children. Actually, we get older, our bodies change, we get wrinkles, but there's so much to know and learn and experience and understand about life that 80 to 100 years is not enough unless you really live, unless you really make it an effort your whole life to really live life to the fullest. That's an extremely rare type of person that can do that. Which is why I say there are no adults. They're just children that get older and then they convince themselves that they're adults and that they're grown up and they know what's going on. Nobody knows. But at least children can see the world for what it is. Which is why adults don't like to listen to children. Which is why certain things just don't change very fast. We all know many different ways that life on Earth for humans could be improved greatly. But these things don't happen because the adults in charge don't want it to happen. So for myself, I consider it a lifelong mission to continue to grow mentally, spiritually, whatnot, to continue to expand and learn and grow, because if life is infinite, then why stop? I want to see as much as I can by the time it's all said and done. And I want to just continue to build my life onto the levels that I had been on previously. I always want to level up and build off of the experiences I've already had. And as I've gone and moved through my career, I've seen the levels, I've climbed the ladder, I've seen the people that were up ahead of me. Sometimes they were far ahead of me. And then fast forward throughout the years, I realized, wow, they're behind me now. Far behind me sometimes. And why? Just because they didn't evolve. They didn't move forward. They didn't progress. You have to keep maintaining it. Maintaining your life, maintaining your career, because unless you hit it really, really big, unless you hit some type of massive success to where you made enough money that you know you can't spend it all, short of that, you gotta keep it going. Because to me, being broke, finding success, losing the success, and being broke again, to me that's in a way worse than never finding the success at all. Because at least if you never found the success, then you don't know what you're missing. Then the ignorance is bliss. But when you've had a taste of it, and you got to live it for a time, you got to be on top of the world for a little bit, and then you see it slowly fading away. That's tough. I've seen many people go through that, and I don't want to be one of those people. Which is why I just maintain that I look back on each year, and as long as I can see that it's a staircase that keeps going up, each year is a new step on the staircase, and it keeps going up, that's what I want to see. It doesn't have to be fast. I don't have to have it all right now. But I know as long as I keep moving up, that's what drives me. Yes, I'm driven for finding big success, but more importantly, I'm driven to just find consistent growth towards success. And even after music, there is a life after music. Music isn't the only thing I'm into. Sometimes I feel like I'm really not even into music. But there's so much more. Sometimes the thing that I want the most is just to do nothing, actually. But to have the freedom to do nothing. To not be bothered that I have to go do something. That's one of my main goals. Is I want to achieve a level of success to where I can go disappear somewhere in the world, somewhere quiet, away from lots of people, and listen to the wind blow for as long as I want, and have no worry that I gotta do something. I gotta pay the bills. I gotta be here. I gotta be there. I'm a simple guy when it comes to that. The thing I want the most is nothing. The freedom to have nothing. The freedom to appreciate and enjoy nothing. Because I have interests outside of music, I have interests yet to be discovered even.
I sometimes don't even like to think of myself as an engineer or producer. I kind of
have been trying to drop the engineer title whenever I have to type in some type of information about myself. Because I don't want to be limited to that role. And even producer, while I have a long way to go to really turn that into something, I don't like to be boxed. Even though being a producer and being a legit producer, that's a good thing to be, but it's also a box if that's just what you keep calling yourself. So I'm not one for those type of labels. I'm not really into even the names. Producers and engineers, it became this thing over the years to just have a name where your name is such and such beats, or beats by such and such. Or even engineers started doing that. mix engineers, say mixed by such and such, whatever your name is, or such and such mixed it. It's just whatever. These label where people are creating their own names with these labels, and teach their own. Do whatever you want. That's fine. That never was a thing that I felt like I wanted to do. Because I thought, as much as, yeah, I want to be a mixing engineer at one point, and yeah, I want to be a producer at one point. Yeah, I want to make beats for people. I feel like those type of titles become boxes that you put yourself in. I'm not that. I'm me. So whenever I'm gonna put my name, it's just me. As boring as that could be to see a credit and see a name of a producer and it's just a regular name, well, that's fine with me because that's who I am. I am me. Music in my career, in my work, it's not necessarily something that I identify with. It's just a thing I do. I don't know how much longer I'll do it, but it's still fun. It's still enjoyable for me. I think I still have plenty more to learn and experience with it, so I'll keep going. But for example, this podcast, this random sounding podcast, I make it the way I make it because of my experience in music and engineering and production and doing this sound design to have a bunch of crazy shit going on while I'm talking. As far as I know, I'm the only person doing a podcast like this. I haven't listened to every podcast out there, the millions that exist, so yeah, somebody else could be doing this, I'm sure. But, and from what I've heard, I'm the only one doing what I'm doing. I'm the only one saying what I'm saying. Well, no, I'm not, but I'm the only one that can share my experience with others, and hopefully there's something unique that can be useful to someone else, because each person does have a story with lessons in it that you can learn. And even though there are millions of other podcasts out there, when it seems like, what is the point of making another one? I don't have that many listeners. I don't even have enough to have advertisement, because you have to reach at least a minimum of 5,000 downloads per episode to even get ads supported on your podcast. But I still do it. It could seem kind of futile and pointless to do a podcast that has very little listeners, but I just do it because, hey, there's only one of me, so I'm the only one that's going to do it the way I'm going to do it. And it's not necessarily about turning this into something big and growing it. It's just a way for me to get thoughts out of my head. Jesus. And like I said, everybody's life has a story with experiences you can learn from. So I'm just trying to share mine. I'm just trying to be helpful. That's why I'm here. I'm trying to be helpful,
Useful to the world. When I work with people on music, in the past when I was an engineer. I'm trying to be as helpful as I can as an engineer, or even when I was a runner, trying to be helpful as I can and make sure I take your food order right, pick it up and bring it back as quick as I can, and not forget anything, not accidentally put cheese in your food when you're severely allergic to dairy. And then, even if the cheese does get in there, I just, tell them, oh, another runner got your food. That's why it's messed up. Hey, that's a real story, by the way. That's a real story. I had to get Chipotle for somebody, and they wanted a burrito, and they specifically told me, no cheese, no sour cream. I'm severely allergic to dairy. I will be in the hospital if I eat it. So make sure there isn't any. And I was writing it all down on a piece of paper, and then I had to take a bunch of other people's orders, and the paper started getting messy because I was just writing so much other shit. And then I said, okay, let me just rewrite all this on another new clean piece of paper so it's more legible and clean and I won't mess anything up. And when I copied everything to the clean piece of paper, I did not write the part about no dairy. So lo and behold, fast forward like an hour, somebody else went to pick up the food. I didn't check it. I'm just chilling in the office. And
The client comes raging into the office, screaming, saying, how hard is it? How hard is it to take a food order? You guys trying to put me in the hospital? And that's when it hit me. Oh shit. They put cheese in his burrito. And because I wasn't the one that picked up the food and brought it to him, he just assumed whoever that person was, it was their fault. When in fact, it was mine. A secret I've kept until this day. And now you know my secret. So I kind of messed up my point because I was just saying that I was just trying to be helpful to the world, even when I was a runner. But I just told you a story of where I was not helpful at all, where I almost put somebody in the hospital because of cheese. But hey, I learned, I understood I messed up. I made sure to pay more attention, and I didn't do it again. That person came back to the studio many times, and it never happened again. So I didn't feel the need to tell him it was me. I just said, let it slip on by. He was okay. He didn't get hurt. He was able to spot the cheese before he actually ate it. But fast forward, the point being, I always went about my work with the purpose of being helpful, being of service to whoever needs it in the best way that I could. And now, even with this podcast, even though I kind of don't have any point or direction when I'm doing this, I always at least try to be helpful. A lot of times in person, people I know that know I do what I do will ask me advice, and whether it's on the engineering side or production side or just career advice and whatnot. And I enjoy talking and helping and sharing information, and people seem to like it. Usually, whenever I talk with somebody, they usually want to keep talking and continue the conversation again later. So I thought, well, if I record myself talking for an hour as if I was giving advice to somebody, what would I say? Well, that's what I said. So, if you made it this far, to wrap it all up, the point I'd like to share is that just keep moving forward and growing in your mind. Whatever it is that you do. Don't get comfortable, don't get complacent. Always grow, always hit the next level. And they can be the smallest steps forward. As long as it is forward.
Just keep going.
In any way you can. Anywhere you see that there's something new to learn that's relevant to your life. You might not think at the time that it's relevant, but I think in the end, ultimately, anything you can learn will find its relevance later in life. And please, as much as possible, whenever you're talking publicly, to yourself, to other people, don't say hum. Just try it. Catch you on the next episode. Thanks for listening. I think at the time